From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we count down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow. I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by our Chief Creative Officer, Tom Campbell, and the lovely and legendary James St. James. Tom, you're still in the UK. I'm in Bogota. And James, you're in LA where I hear it's snowing.
Good God in heaven. I woke up today and it was 27 degrees in Los Angeles. They are expecting snow in the Hollywood Hills today. And there was hail. Right. There was hail this morning when I woke up against my window. The world has gone mad. It's the end of the world, I tell you.
The end of days. So we better get on with this countdown while we're still around to do it. Number 10, Tom.
Number 10.
So, working like a dog, Fenton, here in the UK. But we had one weekend I went to fabulous Edinburgh. Another weekend we went to Paris for 24 hours. That was fun. Last weekend we worked on Saturday, so only had one day off. So I decided last minute to see a play in beautiful West End of London, a play that I've seen before, and I fell in love again. And it's Wicked. Is still wicked good after all these years. And I have just a little more background that I want to quiz you guys, because I found out that Theron, who turned 50 over here, never saw Wicked.
What?
So we had we got out sort of early one afternoon and we decided to go. I said, Theron, let me take you to Wicked. So I've seen it twice this week. Theron saw it for the first time. I think he politely liked it because it was an expensive ticket and I paid for it. It was for his birthday. Have you guys ever seen the musical Wicked? Yes or no, James?
That's all I can remember.
110 times, yes.
Have you seen it more than once? I love it so much. Fenton, you sound like someone who went and saw it and left and it didn't stick with you.
That sounded like I was screaming, but you know the TV commercial that was on the air forever and ever? That's right. And I did see it, but I can't remember anything about it at all.
Popular. I wish I was popular.
Well, what's exciting about it is, I can't say what, but they're filming the movie to Wicked near us in England. We have no, yes, James, yes.
Well, that to me is a point of irritation, is that they decided to make it into two movies, and They are ending it after what's the big
Defying
song?
Gravity.
Defying Gravity, and then nobody's going to come back to the second, because that's if you end with Defying Gravity, that's who comes back after that.
It just reminds me, you can complain about the movie another time further. I hear your point, but Ariana Grande is playing Popular. Playing
and Cynthia Erivo,
yes,
who is so talented. Yes.
The thing about this play and this musical is that I love is, at the very end, it's not a romantic musical where the boy and the girl come out at the end. It's two girls, it's two friends who have been jealous of each other and disliked each other, and they come through it. And the song at the end of the last act is like, because of you, I changed for good. And it's such a great, it's one of the first, not the first, but now we have the Joker's backstory and all these like evil people's backstories. But in 2005, when this play started, it was the retelling of The Wizard of Oz, which is the story that everybody knows as a child. And it has so many. I remember seeing it with my brother and sister, and I love my brother and sister, both straight. And the next day they were like, "Oh my God, I love that Galinda character in Popular." And I was like, "It's all about the Green Witch. It's all about the Wicked Witch who isn't wicked, who's fighting the system, who says that the wizard's fake and don't trust him." And I love the music. Having seen it back to back like I did, I just want to start going all the time. I'm nuts.
Well,
yeah.
I posit to you, have you ever read the book Wicked, which started?
I think you know the answer to that question, James, because it involves
I say that if you read one book for the rest of your life, you go back and you read Wicked, because it has so much more that the musical can't fit into it because of the just the genre. But it is a fantastic. I read it in 91, I believe 92 when it came out, and it blew my mind, and it really changed my world. It is a fantastic read.
there's all these great moments, all this great music, and I'd love for people who watch us on the YouTube to jump in whether they love it or don't love it. But there's this one little aside that I picked up this time, and I heard it twice, which is, Elphaba and Galinda start off as enemies, and then they're forced to live together, and then through circumstances they begin to sort of like each other, and that's what leads into the popular song where she's gonna, make her over. But there's this one thing where Galinda says, "I'm gonna like to bond her. Let's tell each other secrets. Let's be best friends and tell each other a secret." And Galinda's secret is she's in love with Fiyero, the prince, and she's gonna marry him. Does he know it? No, he doesn't know it, but I do. And then he goes, "Tell me your secret." And Elphaba, who's had this tragic, green skin girl, says, "My father hates me." She goes, "But that's not the secret. The secret is he deserves to." Because in the play, she has a younger sister, who's in a wheelchair. And the father was so afraid that the younger daughter would come out green like Elphaba, that he force-fed the mother milk flowers or something, or milk blossoms, and so many that the baby came early and her legs were jumbled. And so she goes, "So you see, there's a reason for him to love me." And and Galinda says, sort of out of character but beautifully, she goes, "Oh, that might be your secret, but it's not the truth." Or that might be a secret, but it doesn't mean it's your truth. And it's little things like that. I don't know. This thing just taps into the little boy in me that felt I was doing everything wrong and that the world was upside down, and it shoves me to the surface and lets me breathe and feel.
Well, interestingly, the idea that everything is upside down in Wicked is one of the things that gets me, is the fact that Dorothy is this unstoppable force of evil who comes in and fucks up everything. She just drops in the third act and fucks up everyone's life. And the idea that the whole story that we know is absolutely wrong, and that Dorothy is the villain and the Wicked Witch is the hero.
As the Wicked Witch says, what kind of a person steals a dead person's shoes? Yes. She goes, "What, was she raised in a barn?" That's what the line says. So go see it. It's playing all over the world. Go see Wicked, and be prepared, because you need to have it in your head and your psyche for when it comes out in the theaters next year with our dear friends.
I think I'll read the book in the meantime. Yeah,
get it. You read it on audio, because I know you love your audio books, and I think I love an audio book.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm not near theater, so I'll do that.
I have a 26-hour flight ahead of me, so that's the perfect thing. I'm going to download it. Thank you.
I know what you can read on your 26-hour flight.
Oh,
yes, that's right. You can read Screen Age, my book, but I'm not going to do a plug for it. We're going to go on to number 9. Are we now
doing plugs for it between every number?
Number 9, James.
Number 9.
Knock at the Cabin, the latest offering from director M. Night Shyamalan. I saw it in the theater this weekend. It is the story of a young gay couple played by Jonathan Groff, of course, of Broadway fame, and Ben Aldridge, who is so handsome. And they're a young married couple. They have a young daughter, and they go to vacation at a house in the woods. And as you know from every movie ever made, you do not vacation in the middle of the woods in a cabin in the middle of the woods, because within the first 10 minutes, there's a knock at the door, and 4 people enter their dwelling and tie them up. And they say, this is not a spoiler because it happens very early in the movie, they say that they have been having visions of the end of the world. The apocalypse is coming, and the only people who can save it is this family. And they have to sacrifice one of them. One of them has to die. The other 2 have to kill them. They have to decide who is going to die. And they can't be suicide. You have to kill one of these 3, the 2 men and the girl. One of them have to kill one of them has to kill, or 2 of them have to kill the one, and that will save the world. And every hour they wait, the world is ending more and more. And there's all sorts of things that happen, blah, blah, blah. But like 1 hour later, like a plague is released upon the world in like Stockholm, and all the people start dying. Another one, there's a tsunami that's hitting the west coast of America, and you see on the news all the people, and then the planes start falling as they keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's that sort of old schoolyard thing that you used to say to your friends: would you kill one person that you love to save 1 billion people that you don't know? And that's sort of a nice philosophical question that they wrestle with. And of course, it's M. Night Shyamalan, so there's a few twists at the end, but you'd see them coming down, Sunset Boulevard a mile away. It's Blake, you saw it. What did you think of it? I was a little irritated with it.
I liked it.
You did?
Yeah.
You didn't think it went on a little long and the ending was a little obvious?
It's been a little while since I've seen it, so I don't remember.
It just came out.
I mean, I saw it like a week or two ago.
I'm sorry. I know you can't retain things for more than a day.
One thing goes in, and then one thing has to come out.
He's a very busy radio show producer. He can't remember things.
Is it overlong? I can imagine, because all his movies feel very, very overlong and very sort of self-indulgent and ultimately pointless.
Well, that's just it. It turns into like sort of a religious twaddle thing.
It's only an hour and 40 minutes.
It's true. But I do think that Jonathan Groff is really talented. He's really good. The little girl is fantastic. And this Ben Aldridge is so handsome. Didn't you fall in love with him? Oh, he's such a daddy. Oh,
I wanted to watch them.
Bautista is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, one of the 4 people that show up at the door. And Rupert Grint from Hogwarts, from Harry Potter, is also one of the people who is having the visions, and they come to tell them they have to kill themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, go wait until it comes out on streaming and then watch it. You don't have to go to the theater.
Okay, it's in theaters now, but you don't have to go, says James St. Jones. Number 8.
Number 8.
Speaking of the end of the world, trend alert, UFO balls. Ever since the Chinese balloon that was shot down over Canada, that I think may have turned out to be some sort of hobby balloon. There it is. But it's all about the balls. Did you see this clip of an orb that was flying over Mosul? And it was filmed by a U.S. reconnaissance plane. It was in 2016, but for some reason the clip has resurfaced and is sort of viral at the moment.
No, I was in Mosul in 2016. I remember it well.
Yes,
we were filming Drag Race Mosul, as I recall.
Blake was there too, but he doesn't remember.
So there's that, and then this week, of course, this orb measuring apparently 5 feet in diameter, it washed up on a beach in Japan. And there's all this article about
what that one is, though.
Well, what? Tell me.
It's that thing that they do, with the army, and they have the balls that float in the water or something.
Okay, James. They brought in an X-ray. First of all, they closed off the beach because this mysterious orangey yellow colored metal sphere with some rust washed up on Enshu Beach, Pacific coastal city of Hamamatsu. Anyway, so they seal off the beach, they bring in an X-ray machine, and it turns out it's hollow. Well, so it's hollow, so it floats. And then what is hilarious is that all the reports of this mystery orb, there's one photograph that you can find that clearly shows it is a mooring buoy. It's got a hook.
A mooring buoy. That's what I was saying. Yes.
Where you would put the rope and the chain. It's like there's no other possible way it could be anything other than that. And so all this stuff about, mystery orb and it's like.
Well, interestingly, though, the thing about the other balloons is what is fascinating to me, because after the Chinese balloon was shot down, there was the one over Lake Erie, the one off of North Carolina, and it made me think that we have probably, there have probably been 1,000 balloons that have passed over us in the last couple of years, and since now we are just aware of the balloons, and so we're seeing them, noticing them, whereas before they were just sort of flying and nobody really paid any attention to it. It makes me think that the Chinese have been know everything about every bowel movement I have.
Between the balloons and TikTok, they know everything.
It's true.
But here's my one question, and this is what really, and I'm sorry, I spent a lot of time with TikTok conspiracists there and some others, but why did the government have to blow apart? Like, it's like using nuclear weapons to like catch a butterfly.
Why can't they just go and grab the balloon by the string and take it down? Exactly.
Make a balloon, go up in a balloon and approach it with a giant pin and just pop it so it can deflate.
And that's the other thing too, is when they said the one in Lake Erie dropped down over ice and they could retrieve it, and then suddenly, no, we can't retrieve it. No, there's no way we can retrieve it.
Right. It's messed up.
Seems a little strange. Like
they can make a pregnant Rihanna fly over the Super Bowl in several positions. We have the technology, is all I'm saying. They can't grab a balloon. And
the reason they can't recover it is because they're embarrassed to probably admit that it was just some Hobby Lobby a balloon.
No, I think it's the opposite of that. I think they're embarrassed. No. I think they're embarrassed to admit that it has every phone number and every photo you've ever had on your iPhone.
And it's being piloted. It's being piloted by Jackie Onassis and Andy Warhol.
JFK Jr., who is coming to save us all.
Yes.
This is all good news, ultimately, I think, for an artist called Alex Prager, who's kind of like, modern artists these days, they have one thing that's their kind of shtick. And Alex Prager's thing is these beautifully polished chromium spheres, balls. And he does all this stuff with people being chased down the street by them in videos, or giant installations of someone being crushed by the balloon, by the orb, I mean. So, and he just has a new exhibition. So maybe the whole balloon orb thing is a publicity stunt by Alex Prager. We'll put some pictures on the Wow Report so you can assess for yourself the real phenomena. And I the reason I did this piece is because I sometimes like to think about what a good headline for it might be, and I came up with the perfect one: Orb Vey.
Orb Vey.
Orb Vey. I know it's in the delivery, but I thought
I think we live in Ballooney Tune times.
We do. Should we take a break?
Let's do.
Drag Race España Season 3 is coming to Wow Presents Plus very soon. You can check out the sneak peek now on the Wow Report. And also, while you're at it, get ready for Drag Race Sverige, which is actually Drag Race Sweden, which premieres March 4th, 12:30 Pacific time. And it also has Untapped. So that's the Swedish version coming to Wow Presents Plus. Blake, do you have a question?
I do. Statistically, March is the most unproductive month of the year in the U.S.
I feel it coming.
Why, though?
All right. We'll have that teasing calendar question right after the break. You're listening to Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake.
I asked a question. Statistically, March is the most unproductive month of the year in the U.S. But why?
I'm guessing in March, we spring the clocks forward, and therefore we're all a little tired that one day and the weekend.
I think it's probably that, but it's also maybe a little seasonal affective disorder where we're just tired of winter and we just need spring, and it's not coming.
Fenton, do you have a guess?
No.
It's March Madness, the NCAA tournament.
Oh, straight people.
Some company lose up to $1.9 billion in wages paid to workers.
Hangovers, people calling in sick.
Productive, and instead spent company time betting on the NCAA.
Watching the game from work, all that stuff.
Fucking hats, man. The heteros are... They're
taking over.
God.
Is one of your questions, what is the most productive month? Is it all calendar questions this week?
Yeah.
It is?
You're scrambling now to find calendar questions.
Blake thinks of the trivia questions while we're talking. This hasn't been highly researched. He's Googling.
All right. Let's move on to number 7 of the top 10 things this week that made us go, wow.
Number 7.
While the rest of Hollywood and Hollywood adjacent is watching screeners that they didn't deserve to have or share, I am preparing for the Oscars in a very different way. And it all began with the passing of Raquel Welch, which we commemorated, And her first appearance was on the Oscars in 1967. So I went to YouTube because I'm not that into UK television, no offense. And all of the Oscar ceremonies from all time that were televised are on YouTube. So I've watched 1967, 1968, 1969, 1970, and I'm just finished 1971. No musical numbers, no clips, but you see the award ceremony. Can I tell you what happened during that time? May I give you a little picture? They used to be, when it started in 67, they were at the Santa Monica.
67 was the first time it was televised?
No. I just started there because that was the first time Raquel Welch was on. So I just clicked on to see Raquel Welch, and then I was like, what's going on? The clothes, everything,
That's the famous Barbara Streisand see-through outfit, isn't it?
That happened in 69 because it's for a 68 movie, not to confuse you.
Gotcha,
but in 67, it was Bonnie and Clyde. Things were just starting to change, but Bob Hope was the host. It was from the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. And there weren't prompters. It was a lot of this big podium would come up with an Oscar on it, and it was thick. And some people could read the cue cards, and other people would read from the podium. It was very funny. And it was like Martha Ray would come on, and
Martha Ray.
Yes, and Raquel Welch is on every single year because that was when she was hot, and she was a movie star, and she was internationally loved. And they were just starting to get they'd be like, in addition to Canada and Mexico, the Oscars will be seen in 22 countries on tape delay via film or videotape. The awards would start with a quick montage of people arriving, nothing like we have now. And then it would go to, ladies and gentlemen, President of the Academy, Stanley Donen. And he was the director singing in the rain.
I didn't know he was president.
Yes, and he would give a dull speech.
Charmer. He was funny.
He was okay. And then they'd immediately go to the accountants. That was every year. It'd be like, and now let's go to Waterhouse. And they come out, and it'd be kind of a cute accountant, which is why he got the thing. And he would be like, here are, it was hermetically sealed with no one knowing. Here are the accounts. It was white tie when it started, and there was incredible pressure for it to be turned into something more casual. So it went to black tie. But in 1968, Martin Luther King's assassination happened right at the time of the Oscars, so they postponed 2 days. And they were started off at ABC, and it'd be like, tonight's programming, Marcus Welby, MD, and Wednesday night movie of the week will be delayed, so you can watch the Oscars. It's fascinating. And in 68, everything is about Martin Luther King. Everything is about people wanting to rally together. It felt very Black Lives Matter, from another time. And I remember this time when we had a lot of hurt and also a lot of hope that these things would not, people would not have died in vain. And then in 69, it starts to be Black dancers are everywhere. Diane Carroll, Lola Falana, they're making a concerted effort, which is great, to include Black performers and Black presenters. But the other thing is
69 though, the high point for me is Katharine Hepburn coming out in her gardening outfit.
She was done the year after. Oftentimes people would not be there.
That was the year that she and Barbara won.
She did not. She was not there to accept. I'm telling you. Huh. And the greatest part is, so Katharine Hepburn and Barbara Streisand won the same, tied for it happened. She's in that crazy scarsy see-through pajamas, and then somebody accepts for, some guy, some gay friend accepts for Katharine Hepburn. He's sort of very awkward. By the way, most people just say, thank you very much. People barely give a speech. And so Barbara waits for the guy very politely to give his bad little quick speech, and then she stops and goes into full character, does that whole look down at the Oscar, hello, gorgeous. And she gives a great speech. The only thing I'll tell you, man.
I'd love to ask a question, which is, what is it like watching the Oscar cast without clips, without musical numbers, and I'm assuming without commercials? The whole thing must last about 5 minutes.
It lasts longer than that, but it goes much quicker. It's the way we should all watch them. But, it starts to get sexier, and it starts to be like Mr. and Mrs. Burt Bacharach, Carol and Angie, Burt and Angie come on, and they're sexy, and he was winning during that time. But Bob Hope in 67 is still the most honored, revered person. His shtick.
God, I hate Bob Hope.
By 68, they took him off. 69, they brought him back, and he was bitter. And then then Hollywood changed. 68, we talk about how 68 everything changed. everything changed in 68 because all of the Bob Hope humor stops working. And he's sort of like, yeah, Dustin Hoffman out there, you know, he's too young to see his own movie. And they got Dustin Hoffman, he's like, no one's buying it. No one's buying it. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining the fashion, and it's almost the same every year because it's no one's videotaping anything, and it's the same ceremony every year. And Bob Hope, even 2 years in a row, did a MASH, the movie Spiro Agnew golf joke. You can buy those things 2 years in a row. Didn't care. What does this matter? No one's taping.
I think
I'm gonna watch them all.
Fascinating social history. So you're going to keep on this journey of watching them all. Perfect. Okay, those check out all the other Academy performances year on year on YouTube, right? Yeah.
But how will you do when you won't be able to do it? Was it 85 that was the Snow White number? I mean,
89 just watched it today.
You have to watch the numbers. You have to.
We got to move on. James, number 5. No, James, number 6.
Number 6.
Do you know that last week we had 2 number 7s and someone busted us about it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't stop talking about the fact that I can't seem to count down from 10 to 0. It flabbergasts me.
We should have asked you, and when we interviewed you for this job, we should have asked you if you could count 10 to 1.
Are we ready? Are we done? Can I go, please?
I was giving some color.
Thank you. I've only been waiting 45 minutes to do number 7 or number 6. Dear God in heaven. You got anything else you want to throw in?
Pick a number and do it. Come on, whatever number we're at, let's have it.
Number 6. The Company You Keep, a new series on ABC Sunday nights. It stars the dashing Milo Ventimiglia, who I have loved forever since the Gilmore Girls, since Heroes, since This Is Us. Blake, you remember him from Fergie's Big Girls Don't Cry video? In which that was his big, huge breakout for the gays. He stars as a super suave con man who looks really good in designer duds. And there's a woman named Catherine Hannah Kim, who is a CIA agent, and she looks really good in designer gowns. And he's a con man, and she's a CIA agent, and they fall in love. They meet at a hotel bar, and they lie to each other. And he says that he's a yoga instructor, and she says that she's a pageant queen. And they make mad, passionate love in the hotel for 36 hours, and then they go their separate ways. And of course, unbeknownst to them, they're on opposite sides of the law. And so he's pulling off heists, and the CIA comes barging in to stop him. And he's hiding on one side of the wall, and she's on the other side of the wall, and they just miss each other. And that happens, and it's really adorable. It's fun. It's cute. I love the banter is very cute. The clothes are cute. The people are cute. Everything about it is wonderful. I don't know if the premise is very thin, and I don't know. I always say, I mean, can it sustain itself for 6 seasons? I mean, can we do the same? It looks like it's going to be the same episode over and over again. How long can you sustain without really any changes? I don't know. I wish someone else would watch it so that they could chime in.
Do you know who the writer is? Who the creator is?
I don't. You've stumped me. Do you know? Are you looking it up?
It reminds me of one that Shonda Rhimes. Oh, it reminds me of one that Shonda Rhimes did with the guy.
No, it's not Shonda. I don't think it is Shonda.
It isn't, but it reminds me because it was a sophisticated cat and mouse.
Well, it's sophisticated cat and mouse. It sort of reminds me of those spy spoof movies in the 60s, that type of thing. It's also got a little heart to heart where there's, high flying adventures in faraway places in fabulous outfits. It's fun froth. It's Sunday night, 10 o'clock. And what else are you doing on a Sunday night at 10 o'clock? I ask you.
Executive producer Milo Ventimiglia, because he's a big star. And then it's Todd Hartman and John M. Chu. I think it's based on a movie.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But the thing is about Milo is that Milo's been around since like 1993, 94. He was a child actor, and he really has put in his time. And he's so handsome, and he's so charming that I just think he deserves everything he gets. And I love the fact that he's starring. He is the star as opposed to the side piece,
Hollywood Reporter calls it a frothy ABC drama.
I think that was me that just said it was a frothy ABC comedy.
Well, you and the Hollywood Reporter are very much in tune.
Oh, obviously you're both using the same chat bot or GPTI or whatever it is.
How dare you?
How dare
Well, okay, that's number 6, The Company You Keep, and that's streaming on Hulu. Number 5.
Number 5.
I did something I haven't done in a long time. I actually watched something on Netflix.
Really?
It is called Cunk on Earth.
Ow! I've been meaning to watch this. There have been a number of Cunk shows or whatever, right?
There has, and there is a backstory to Cunk. Oh, look, here's Randy.
Hi, Randy.
Hi.
Hola. Hi, Randy. Welcome to the Wow Report.
Hola, ¿qué tan bien? Qué divertido.
I knew that when I started to talk, Randy would appear.
No, just ignore me. Go ahead, carry on.
Have you seen Cunk on Earth?
No.
Well, then listen.
It's from Black Mirror creator Charlie Brooker. And it's a comedy. Unlike Black Mirror, I guess, right? And Diane Morgan plays this character, Philomena Crunk. And James, exactly as you said, Philomena Crunk has a backstory. She's been doing, I think it started out as a YouTube thing, and then the BBC did some specials. And this is the latest version, Crunk on Earth. And it's sort of parody of the David Attenborough. Oh, it's not Crunk, it's Cunk. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I read one review that just said the title is enough, right? I mean, Cunk on Earth, it's just so satisfying. Anyway, it's a parody of David Attenborough type. In fact, she's credited in her lower third, Philomena Crunk. Her credit is landmark documentary presenter. And it parodies all those tropes and things of, the person walking through here and then walking through there, and they're all over the world. And she has these brilliant lines like, well, she interviews a lot of experts, professors at universities. And I think you can't, like, at first you think, well, they can't be in on the joke, but then you kind of figure out that they probably are. But she'll say, which was more culturally significant, the Renaissance or Single Ladies by Beyonce? Or why are the pyramids that shape? Is it to stop homeless people from sleeping on them? Or
Oh, God.
is it fair to say that Jesus was the first celebrity victim of cancel culture? And the professor starts to say, no, you can't say that. And she suddenly says, I just want you to look directly in the camera and call him the first victim of cancel culture for a punchy soundbite. And we've all done that, right? Where you're like, could you just say that again in a soundbite? That sort of thing. So it's really kind of funny.
I see on IMDb that there's a Cunk on Shakespeare, Cunk on Britain, where a number of specials over the years. I think they're all on Netflix now, where you can watch them.
Cunk on Earth, I think, is a 5-episode series about just like Earth.
It's about life on planet Earth, the history of. So it's a parody of that great kind of the milestone of all landmark documentaries, Civilization. Kenneth Clark's Civilization in the 70s. And so it's all about culture and civilization. And the great thing is each episode's only half an hour long. And
I like that. The problem for me is Cunk makes me think of like a funky, hard to get out of your trunk smell.
Gunk.
Doesn't it make you think of another C word?
Is it a C word or a K word?
I think that's what you're supposed to be thinking. But
is it C-U-N-K? I thought it was K-U. I thought it was like keeping up with the Kunkdashians or something.
C-U-N-K. Yes. So that's Cunk on Earth streaming on Netflix. We're going to take one more break. Manhattan Cable is now available on Wow Presents Plus. Love Connie hosts the series, and it's World of Wonder's first ever series, which was a compilation of clips from seminal public access shows on New York's Manhattan Cable public access channels in the 90s. And with the extra added bits of Love Connie, it's really quite marvelous. It's a special from the vault.
I want to suggest a special Wow Report where we do all cable access shows.
Let's do that. And
more people will listen, but
Who's the
Can I be on that one?
Yes.
Can you guys let me be on that one?
Please.
Please.
Thank you.
Are you taking a post-lunch nap?
Yes.
Randy had lunch. I haven't been able to eat any lunch because
Don't worry, Fenton. I didn't eat any of it.
Okay. All right. Blake, do you have a question?
I do have a question. Vasectomies surged by 50% in March. Why?
What again? Say it again.
Vasectomies.
All right, we'll have the answer to that right after the break here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake. You had a very teasing question for us.
I did. Vasectomies are up by 50% in March. Why?
Well, I'm going to say because, there's so many people are having sex and getting pregnant over the holidays because there's nothing else to do. That once they get pregnant, they're like, "You're getting a vasectomy."
I think insurance coverage for vasectomies is about to end.
That's a good guess, Fenton.
I am so shit at these questions, but I will tell you, I have behind me on the wall a picture of sperm and egg, the moment of conception. So it's thematically on point.
There you go. Well, patients who have a vasectomy typically need at least a day with ice to keep swelling down. So if they're going to spend a whole day doing nothing, it's hard to figure out that they'd want to do on a day sitting TV and watching the NCAA March Madness.
For Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Wow.
God damn heterosexuals and their basketball.
Ruining everything.
Basketball. What is this NAACP? Is this basketball? What is it?
NCAA. It is.
What could it be?
James, I'm so glad you asked. I was too embarrassed to ask that. I have no idea this whole time what it is.
It's basketball. All the colleges, everyone makes brackets for March Madness, and it goes from.
It's everything. My brother and sister are obsessed with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I do know what basketball is, but that's about it. We are counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. We've reached number 4. James, Tom.
Number 4.
All right, continuing on my Oscar exploration. I'm not watching illegal screeners, but the Academy, the head of the Academy, Bill Kramer, has just announced that because of last year's Will Smith slap and the debacle that followed, that they have created a crisis team. Ba 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 ba. What? So, what are they gonna So if they know now they can communicate.
Years.
If something good happens, that's a crisis. They need a crisis team for something going right.
Yes. We have a whole crisis team, something we've never had before, and many plans in place, Kramer said. We've run many scenarios, so it's our hope that we will be prepared for anything that may or may not happen. It's a crazy world that people think they can anticipate. I guess they were so disorganized, all drunk and drinking and taking selfies, that they didn't even know to talk to each other during that event. But in case there's a streaker, we have a plan. In case of this, The Rock will come and tackle them. It just sounds redonkulous.
I think he's planning on an epidemic of slapping happening this year because it's now a trend or something. I mean, literally, there was the stripper 50 years ago, and then a slap. So every 50 years something happens, and now they have but they're prepared. Nothing is gonna happen.
It's strange compared to the 67 you were talking about in your number 10, how it used to be a rinky-dink show, and now we have to have a crisis team for slap.
It's sort of just the height of bizarreness and corporateness and making people feel safe that they're protected when there's and we watch this show because it's live. God forbid, I don't want violence. I'm not saying anyone should hit anybody. Don't cancel me, Jesus Christ. Although we are safe because Will Smith has resigned from the Academy and is banned for 10 years. So for this year,
how is the crisis
the most
team
talked about thing that has happened in 50 years on the show? I mean, we were talking about it again.
How does a crisis team solve the problem that no one's going to be watching?
I was going to say trapdoors, but I don't know. Maybe that's still the answer. Trapdoors, Fenton, trapdoors. It also is just released that Rihanna will be performing on the Oscars. So maybe that'll be a crisis. Maybe she'll have a baby. Maybe she won't project enough. Maybe she won't do enough choreography. She will be singing the Oscar-nominated ballad from Wakanda. So,
all right.
Anyhow.
That's the Oscars coming up on March 12th. Look out for the Crisis Team in action.
Crisis Team, ready for anything. Boo-boo!
That could be a movie. Okay, number 3.
Number 3.
I am currently reading. Oh, hold on.
Is he going to read the book to us in real time, do you think?
No. Just for our viewers on YouTube, I am reading Pat in the City, Patricia Fields' new memoir.
I love it.
Out this week. Yes. Pat Fields, of course, is the legendary owner of the Pat Fields store in New York City. She is also the costume designer, responsible for Sex in the City and The Devil Wears Prada and Emily in Paris and so many other cultural touchstones. This is the story of her childhood, of her coming into the fashion industry, of her first store was in 1966, which is just crazy to me. It was in Greenwich Village. It was called the Pants Pub, and she sold dungarees, denim pants to NYU students. So she's been around the fashion block. The book talks about all the different trends that she is responsible for, all the things that she has started. It talks about the 80s heyday at the store when everybody, Connie Girl, Amanda Lepore, everybody worked at the store. And it was a terrifying experience to go into the store. I don't know if you remember, because you were judged, and these drag queens would read you to filth. They talk about people like George Michael coming in the store, and they wouldn't even talk to him because they said he looked too California. Like they with the bleach blonde, tips and the faded jeans, they thought he was just ridiculous, and he had to leave. They made there were other people that they wouldn't let. They told John F. Kennedy Jr. to go outside while Daryl Hannah shopped inside because they didn't like his attitude. They were nasty, nasty, nasty queens. And she talks about how she encouraged that a little bit, but at the same token, like, they lost a lot of money by being nasty, they made Madonna wait an hour outside one time in the 80s because they were all too hungover to open on time. And so they wouldn't open for her.
Didn't Madonna make people wait like 5 hours for her concert?
Well, yes, but that's, But anyway, so it's a lot of fun inside fashion-y stories. They talk about the House of Fields, the creation of the House of Fields when they went uptown to all the balls. A lot of Pat's love life is in there, and then it goes into Sex in the City, of course, and all of that.
I hate to go negative, but I have to say, and not against, but Pat Field is not part of the new Sex in the City, the reboot on HBO.
No. And
it shows.
Yes, it really does.
I'm no fashionista, but there's new pictures popping up online for the new season, and I would say that it's hard to make a fashion statement, but it's not hard to make a fashion statement. But no one can do it like Pat Fields, right?
Nobody can do it like Pat, and it's a fun, frothy read. I wish everyone would go out and get it. She knows what she talks about. Is what I'm saying.
Do you know if she reads the audiobook?
Oh, I don't. We've been in contact with her to try and get her on our podcast. And I'll probably have to ask about that.
It would be great if she had mean drag queens reading it for her.
Yes, get Princess Deandra out. Let's get Armin Ra to come on.
That is Pat Fields' new memoir. It's available on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. Number 2, speaking of fashion.
Number 2.
Pharrell Williams is the new men's creative director. And James, I know you and I clash about fashion as a thing, but what do you think?
Well, I just don't think that because that you are a reality show host, you can be a president. I don't think that if you're a plumber, you can be a brain surgeon. I don't know if you're a rock star, you can be a designer. He's got fashion sense, but I prefer my designers to, go to school for it and know what they're doing and have references and not just say, I like blue plaid.
Because I thought you'd be like arguing that fashion is dead and it's just about accessorizing and making choices and picking this and mismatching this with that.
Yes, I say all of that.
Okay. And also,
Who has to go to school for that, James?
Has it also, but hasn't like luxury changed too? Like that.
Well, I don't know if you remember about 10 years ago when Lindsay Lohan took over Ungaro, I think it was, and destroyed the brand. They because she was the biggest star in the world, they said, "Why don't you be our designer? Because you wear fun clothes." And she literally tanked the brand, the business completely. It's no longer around. And that is what can happen when you just get someone who is famous for being, walking, sitting in the front row of shows, and they don't really have fashion.
But he has had a designer line, right? The $1 Billion Boys Club is.
Well, but that's like saying that Yeezy or whatever is actually designed by Kanye. It's like, no, these people come in and they slap their name on something. They don't really design.
I didn't talk much about my trip to Paris 2 weekends ago, but I know this is an international campaign. But the Louis Vuitton Spots campaign, have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
It's everywhere. The main building, they've painted the whole building. They have videotapes of the artist whose name I forget doing the painting. They also have
the
blow
Japanese
up of her. It's amazing. Anyway.
But see, that to me, I understand that. I understand when you bring in a celebrity to do a capsule collection, and it's basically they come in and you sort of base it around them, and then they leave. Blah blah blah. I just don't know if he can be a rock star and a designer and a museum docent and a director and
James, he's a Renaissance man.
Yeah, I don't know about Renaissance people anymore. I think I think we should have learned our lesson with Donald Trump.
Something I just learned I didn't know is that, until recently, I think Elon Musk was the world's richest man. Do you know who it is now?
Pharrell Williams.
No, it's Bernard Arnault,
of course,
the guy who owns Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy.
Wait, just interestingly, they came out with a list of Forbes had the top celebrity, people, and who was on the list? Jamie Gertz is up there with billions and billions of dollars.
Well, yeah, because she married well, right?
She married a billionaire hedge fund guy. But Jamie Gertz from less than 80 square pegs is one of the richest celebrities on the planet.
Love her.
We're going to take one more break. House of Love is the exclusive drink of RuPaul's Drag Race, just in time to continue your season 15 viewing parties. Tom, 4 delicious cocktails and
2 mouth-watering mocktails.
Party packs, right?
Yes. And we put a little bit of love in every can, just so people know it's you can taste it.
And all you have to do is go to houseoflovecocktails.com and you can order away to your heart's content. Special deals, discounts, merchandise, things like that. Yes.
Party like a drag queen.
I got a six pack for my niece for Christmas, and she loved it. She's been getting them online all the time since then.
I might be biased, but they are actually delicious. And the tequila orange, the orange margarita is
Tangerine margarita is off the hook. It also has, I think, like 12% alcohol or something. I don't want to get into the details, but it's
no. All right,
give me a nice kick.
We'll be right back after the break with the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake. We've been counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. This week, we've reached number one.
Number one,
I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the drag bills that have been going through, that have been proposed around the country or going through legislation. There's a particular one in Tennessee that this week passed, and it's particularly diabolical, where it outlaws drag outside of club spaces, and it also, in order for the drag queens to perform in the clubs, they have to have a cabaret license, which is what strippers get. And to get a cabaret license, you can't serve alcohol. So they are trying to kill the gay bar scene. And it also goes a step further and makes Pride. They can't do Pride anymore. And I have always said that this is the end game for a lot of right-wing Republicans, that they want to stop Pride. And I think they're using drag queen story time and drag queen, demonizing drag queens and saying they're groomers and things like that to stop pride parades from happening around the country. And I think it's going to be something that we're going to see more and more.
This is like pre-Stonewall, nightmares of like you have to have so many pieces of men clothing or female clothing.
Exactly. You have to have part of your name has to be a male name. You have to wear a tie. You have to do so. Yeah, exactly. It's that same sort of idea. But the idea that you can't perform drag outside of clubs, and then if you're inside a club, you can't have alcohol. It's just insidious. And what's happening with the bill is, I think it goes back to the Senate. And then it goes to the governor to sign. But even if the governor doesn't sign, it still becomes a law, because that's how Tennessee laws work. So it's terrifying, and I suggest everybody go online to try and find out what's happening in your neck of the woods, what's happening in your state, and to do what you can to write to your senators, write to your congressmen.
Freedom of speech. It's not gay or straight. It's freedom of speech and expression.
But I am saying right now, I'm being the doomsayer, and I'm saying they're coming for pride. They are.
Yeah, they're definitely coming for us. But I think it's an outrageous sort of lie to equate drag queens with groomers. It reminds me of the huge bathroom hoax surrounding the trans issue. They were always, there's always this idea that someone would be in a bathroom and would be, by virtue of not being the gender they present as, would assault women. And of course, a complete lie. Never, ever happened. Completely false. And
but
similarly,
it's sticky. It's one of those sticky ideas, and right wingers run with it.
Right. Yeah.
We have fought this for decades and generations, and unfortunately, we will continue to and have to continue to.
That's right. Well, thanks for tuning into the WoW Report on Radio Andy. You can listen to previous episodes on our YouTube channel, WoW Presents, where you can also see some of the bits that we had to cut out of this show for time. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.